December 24th, 1971. Christmas Eve. A plane broke apart 3,000 meters above the Peruvian Amazon. 91 people were on board. Then the impossible fact. One survived the fall. She was 17 years old. Her name was Juliane Koepcke. Then the escalation. She fell approximately 3,000 meters, still strapped to her seat. She landed in the jungle canopy. When she regained consciousness, she was alone. Her mother had been on the plane. She did not survive. Juliane Koepcke had a broken collarbone, a deep cut on her arm, one eye swollen shut from insect stings, and she was in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, with no radio, no food, no map. She walked out 11 days later, alone. In the next 11 minutes, I am going to show you 3 things. First, how she survived the fall, the physics of what happened between the plane and the jungle floor, and why it is not as miraculous as it sounds, though it is extraordinary. Second, how she survived 11 days in the Amazon, what she knew, what she did, and the one piece of advice her father had given her that she followed precisely. And third, what happened after, who Juliane Koepcke became, and what she did with the jungle that nearly killed her. December 24th, 1971, the fall. The physics must be clear and credible. This is science, not miracle. Lanza Flight 508 departed Lima at noon on December 24th, 1971. Destination, Pucallpa, in the Peruvian jungle. Juliane Koepcke was traveling with her mother, Maria. Her father, Hans Wilhelm Koepcke, was a biologist who had built a research station in the Peruvian Amazon. The family had spent years working in the jungle. Juliane had grown up learning to navigate it. At approximately 12:36 p.m., the aircraft entered a severe thunderstorm. The plane was struck by lightning. It did not crash immediately. The structural damage caused it to break apart in mid-air. At 3,000 meters, the cabin depressurized. Juliane lost consciousness. When she regained consciousness, she was still falling, still strapped to a row of 3 seats. What saved her life at this point was physics. The seat configuration, 3 seats attached together, rotated as it fell, like a helicopter rotor, like an auto-rotating leaf. This rotation slowed the descent significantly. She fell through the jungle canopy. The dense vegetation absorbed much of the remaining impact. She landed in the undergrowth. She was alive. Broken collarbone, deep cuts, insect stings, one eye swollen shut. Alive. 11 days. What she did. Measured, respectful. Each day she survived is a documented fact. Let the accumulation build. Her father had told her once, "If you are ever lost in the jungle, find water. Follow it downstream. Downstream leads to larger rivers. Larger rivers lead to settlements." That is how people survive the Amazon. Juliane found a small stream near where she had landed. She began walking. She had no food other than a small bag of candy, no purified water, no shelter beyond what the jungle provided. The cut on her arm became infected. Insects had laid eggs in the wound. Maggots were developing inside it. On the 9th day, she found a boat, moored at a small riverbank shelter. In the shelter, she found gasoline. She used it to flush the maggots from her wound, a method she had read about in a wildlife survival context. It worked. She waited. On January 3rd, 1972, 11 days after the crash, 3 local guides arrived at the shelter. They brought her to medical care. She had walked and waited approximately 9 kilometers through primary rainforest. She was 17 years old. She was the only survivor of 91 people. After, what she became. Warm, biographical. This segment is about what survival means long-term. Juliane Koepcke was hospitalized in Pucallpa, then reunited with her father. Her mother was confirmed among the dead. She returned to Germany to complete her education. She studied biology. She specialized in Peruvian bats. She returned to Peru. In 1998, filmmaker Werner Herzog made a documentary about Lanza Flight 508. He had been booked on that flight. He had changed his ticket at the last minute. The film, Wings of Hope, features Juliane Koepcke returning to the crash site in the jungle. In 2011, she published her own account, When I Fell from the Sky. As of 2026, Juliane Koepcke Diller is a research biologist. She works at the Bavarian State Collection of Zoology. She conducts research in the Peruvian Amazon. The jungle she walked out of at 17 is the jungle she has worked in for most of her adult life. Warm, genuine admiration without sentimentality. On December 24, 1971, a plane broke apart above the Amazon. 91 people fell. One walked out. She was 17. She had a broken collarbone, a wound full of maggots, a bag of candy, and something her father had told her once that she had not forgotten. Follow the water downstream. She followed it for 11 days, and she walked out. There is a question this story leaves, not about luck. She had luck, the rotating seat, the canopy, the boat. But luck is not enough for 11 days in the Amazon. 11 days requires something else, the willingness to keep moving. When every reason to stop is in front of you, the ability to use what you know when everything else is gone. Juliane Koepcke went back to the Amazon, not because she had to, because it was hers. On July 9, 1962, the United States detonated a nuclear bomb in space. 400 kilometers above the Pacific Ocean, 1.4 megatons. The explosion was visible from Hawaii. Streetlights went out across Honolulu. Satellites began failing in the months that followed. It was completely legal, because no law existed to prevent it. Watch, it was legal.